I do not want to do this 3 times more. No.
So how did we? Are we recording already?
So we're recording.
Oh,
yeah.
we're recording already.
Okay, and I tested it, and this time it works.
Yeah, we had a very good first take. We really loved our first take until we figured out that Nikki put the sound recording off on her camera.
I didn't intentionally do that.
No, I hope you didn't intentionally do that.
No. So yeah,
it was intentionally dumb.
So yeah, we have about 30 minutes of recording time done and absolutely no sound. So we're going to do this again. We want to explain a little bit about our trip that we've had on the YouTube channel. Right now it kind of looks like we were on vacation, but it in fact was a work trip.
Yes.
So we want to talk about a little bit about what we've learned about Australia, our experiences here, the people here, things that we've learned, and about work and what we've done for work.
Yeah.
So, Ingo.
Yeah, Nikki.
Yes. What would you like to first start talking about?
Let me look at your list.
Yeah.
What do you have there?
The betting and gambling or food?
I think the food and the people. We should start with the food and the people.
That sounds good.
I really love Australia because, I mean, it might be far away and it's a hell of a trip to get here. It's a hell of a long time. But boy, it's so worth it because the people are a blast. They're very, very, very friendly. If you think that Canadians are friendly, you should come to Australia and check out the Aussies because they just don't stop talking and they bend over backwards to help you and give you directions and tell you about the places that you want to visit or that you should visit. And you know, it's like really, really nice to talk to them. You never feel like you're an annoyance or something like this. It's really, they want to help you.
Yeah, and they do, like, they're very friendly. And yeah, like Ingo said, I am Canadian, so I do know the whole Canadians are, sweet and, polite and all that stuff. But,
sorry.
Yeah, but Australians, they're something else. They are beautiful people, and they do like carrying on conversation and talking to you. I've had a couple conversations. Last night, we were at a pub, and a lady had asked for one of our stools because we weren't using a stool and they needed an extra stool. And I said, yeah, no problem. You can use that. And right away she picked up on my Canadian accent and she's like, oh, where from Canada are you from? And we learned that she actually moved here about 17 years ago.
To Sydney.
And then just yesterday moved to
the Gold Coast.
To the Gold Coast. And so we had, I don't know, a half an hour conversation with her, and she's a lovely lady, and I had a couple other conversations with people just at the hotel. I met a John guy and his dog Haley, and you just start talking to people, and they make you feel welcome here, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's, like I said, it's usually you think that, maybe do I have to, or can I ask that guy for directions, or can I ask him about anything, and you're a little reluctant, and you quickly learn here that you don't have to be, because people actually enjoy having a conversation with total strangers, which is really nice.
Or you ask people, well, where's a good place for food, and they say, oh, there's a fish and chip place around the corner, and you end up walking half an hour because you got lost and found another fish and chip place.
That happens too, that's right. And I mean, the other thing that I feel like is worth mentioning, apart from people and food, maybe we come to the food a little later, but it's how clean everything is here in Australia.
Yes.
Even in the bigger cities, like we haven't seen much of Melbourne, so I don't know much of Melbourne, but we've been to Brisbane, and we're walking around in Brisbane for like 3 hours or 3.5 hours. And Brisbane is a bigger city. It's like 2.6 million people living there or something like this. And it's clean. It's like very, very little litter.
You could eat off the street.
Yeah, the Brisbane River is nice. There's a river walk, and all the trees and everything is pretty well manicured and nicely serviced. So really...
Actually... The environment is actually a very big important fact to Australians.
See that everywhere.
Yeah. So littering, water, conservation,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Everywhere you go, there's messages telling you to conserve your water or don't litter and all that stuff. And it goes to show.
Yeah.
It's definitely well practiced here, taking care of the environment, and
they separate the litter like pretty neatly. So they're probably having a very good recycling system in place as well. So yeah, that's what really, especially compared to Europe, I would say, this place is a lot cleaner
Yeah, well,
than
definitely a lot
yeah.
cleaner than
And
Ontario.
we've never felt unsafe.
No,
That's also something
no.
like never ever felt unsafe, or there were no shady areas. Very few homeless people. Haven't seen maybe I've
Just
seen maybe two
two.
homeless people.
Two. The
Yeah.
whole time we were here, just two.
Yeah.
And actually, their tent compartment looked pretty
looked
comfortable,
Decent,
actually.
decent. Yeah, it was decent.
Yeah.
So that's something. And then the other thing, which really was impressive, is the food here.
The food. And I'm gonna say that it is the quality of meat and the
Yeah.
quality of ingredients that go into
Yeah.
their food. Cost-wise, the meals seem to be comparable to anything in the States or Canada.
It's more expensive than in Germany, though, but it's even better than in. I mean, I'm from Germany. I love the German food and the variety you have there and everything. But if it comes to meat or fish, I've never had better meat or fish anywhere else but here.
Yeah, very fresh, very well put together.
Yeah.
Marinated, well done. I had some lamb chops that were mouth-watering.
Yeah.
A riblet last night at the pub. That was and it's pub food. And you think pub food's pub food? No,
Yeah,
no, not here. Pub food is not pub food here. It is it's very tasty, very good, very clean. It's not greasy. It's fresh.
That's what I was gonna say. It's not greasy. It's not like overly sweet. And we haven't even been at any fancy restaurants like Nikki said.
No.
We've been to pubs and better pubs, whatever, but not Michelin star restaurants or something like this. And it was delicious. So anything we've ordered anywhere was good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so food are great, people are awesome. Let's talk about their gambling.
Oh yeah, Aussies seem to like gambling, because
Yeah.
there is like almost every pub that you walk into at the countryside or in cities seems to have some gambling going on,
Yeah.
like gambling machines and sports
Games,
betting and
sports
stuff like
betting,
that.
the TVs. So the one pub at the hotel in Taylor Lake Hotel.
Taylor Lakes
Lakes.
Hotel, yeah,
They
North
had,
Lakes.
Yep, North Lakes. They had a in the bottom at their pub a section for horse racing gambling. But more so we were talking to David at the trade show.
Yeah.
And he mentioned about the gambling, how Australians like their gambling, and they actually have days off for certain sporting
Sports events. Yeah, there's the Melbourne Cup, which is a famous horse race.
Yeah.
So there's one day off for the Melbourne Cup. I think David said it's for Victoria only. Not quite sure. It might be national. But there's a day off for the Melbourne Cup. Then there's a day off for their finals at the Aussie Rules football.
Yeah.
They have Aussie Rules football here, by the way, which is one of the most. It's probably the toughest sports I've ever seen. Like Nikki just said, it's rough because they don't have any padding or something like that on them, and they rough themselves up.
Yeah.
It's crazy how hard that sport is.
If you think American football is hard, I challenge you to go and watch an Aussie football game, because these guys, it's rugby and football combined with no padding.
Yeah.
At all. These guys are getting pummeled. They're getting thrown to the ground. They
start bleeding and they just shake it off.
And it's not like soccer where you tumble and roll around
no.
my gosh, I hit my knee and
Nothing
all
like
that.
that.
You
No.
know, so no, it's not. It has got to be the toughest sport I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitively tougher even than German handball. And that's supposed to be a tough sport, but this is like different level again.
Yeah. So that's about the betting and their games.
Yeah, what else do we have?
What else do we have? Interesting facts.
Oh, we have interesting facts about animals. We have,
Yes.
the most famous animal probably here is the kangaroo.
Yes.
We haven't seen
Not
any
one.
kangaroos, not one, not a single kangaroo. We saw like 1 or 2 roadkills
Yeah.
of kangaroos, but that's all. But, everyone tells us oh, you haven't seen a kangaroo, but there are millions and millions and millions of kangaroo here.
Yep.
They are considered even being a pest because they're eating the crops. They're just not good for the farmers, and there are just too many of them. So people having accidents on the roads because of the kangaroos and are dying. Well, it's really, it's the national kind of symbol of Australia, but at the other side, or at the same time, it's a pest. There's just too many kangaroos.
So I want to talk about a little bit about what we learned about the kangaroos and about
The leather?
The leather.
Yeah.
So we discussed about, who is it? There was...
I don't know. There's one guy at the trade show who told us that basically overnight a whole industry in Australia was shut down because the US-American PETA Animal Rights Association was heavily marketing against the kangaroo leather being used for sport shoes. So, and just 2025, Adidas officially announced that they're not going to use any more kangaroo leather for sport shoes, and the marketing campaign of PETA was called "Kangaroos Are Not Shoes."
Yeah.
So people here in Australia are pretty upset about that fact, that an American association has heavily influenced a decision being made for Australians, if you will, because it really was an industry. So we were like, oh, okay, that's not good, and why would they do that? So I ChatGPT'd it, and ChatGPT gave me the whole story. I hope it gave me the whole story. Maybe you never know, but obviously maybe it did. And there's another side to the story, because PETA wasn't really complaining about the leather per se. It was complaining about the way the animals are being killed here and being treated while they are being killed. Like there are night hunts with helicopters, and they are just being shot and skinned alive because no one really looks at whether they are dead or not. And it seems to be a pretty brutal, bloody thing, which shows us that there are always two sides of the coin.
There's two sides to the story. So when you talk to Australians here, or the guy that we talked to anyways, and a few others talking about kangaroos, and here in Australia, kangaroos are considered a pest, and there's millions of them. So they cause a lot of car accidents. They get run over all the time. A big one though is with the farmers. They're causing a lot of like holes in the grounds and things like that, and ruining farmers' crops. So when an animal becomes a bit of a pest, you have ways to work with that. And one of their ways was to use the kangaroo skin as leather for these sporting shoes. And just overnight, it really did shut down an industry here in Australia. And it stopped, and it's caused more of a problem with the pests, because they seem to have been under control a little bit with using them as a sport shoe leather, and now they can't. So now the population of the kangaroos is significantly increasing again. So it's a bit of a problem again, and there's always two sides to the story.
Yeah.
But knowing both sides of that story, there's things that you can do to maybe manage the fight of these kangaroos, the kill rate of the kangaroos, and how they're being processed and stuff like that. So
yeah, you never know.
You never know. Maybe
the Aussies will figure it out and get back into the game of manufacturing leather shoes out of kangaroo leather.
Yeah.
Sport shoes out of kangaroo leather. But there's not only kangaroos. We also have
wombats.
Wombats, yeah.
Wombats.
I wanted to say koalas, but wombats is even better.
Yeah, so let's talk about the wombats. We met a lovely lady at one of the stores, and she told us a little fun fact about wombats, and they're the only mammal that poops in a cube.
Square poo.
Square poo.
Wombats have square poo.
Yeah, I never knew that. So
neither did I.
Anyways,
that's interesting. And wombats are very heavy and bulky.
Yes.
So they say that whether you hit a wombat on the street with a car or a kangaroo doesn't really make a big difference, because you would think that it's wombats are smaller than kangaroos, but they seem to be really muscular. They say it's like hitting a brick on the road.
Yeah, they cause a lot of damage on your car if you were to hit them, because their backs are like steel.
Yeah. And then we have koalas as well, but we haven't seen
We haven't
any
seen
of
a
them.
koala either. Haven't
No.
seen a koala. We've seen pelicans.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen a like a flock of what are those parrots?
I can't
Cockatoos.
recall. Cockatoos, yes.
The whites with the yellow.
Yeah.
That was really
That was
cool.
nice.
That was really neat. I've seen some colorful birds. Couldn't tell you what they are, but they're bright and colorful.
The birds are pretty different here anyways,
yes,
right? The
yep.
sound of the birds, and the birds are just nothing like in Europe or nothing like in North America.
No, I'm pretty sure I took a million photos of a bird that is probably considered to be a crow in the States or Canada. So I'm, going around with my camera taking cool little photos and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure the Australians are looking at me like,
Why is that girl
taking
picturing?
a picture of a crow or a seagull or a, so, but that's fun stuff. Okay, so we talked about the people, we talked about gambling, we talked about food.
Now let's talk about work, maybe.
Yeah, let's end this with work. So, actually, no. The travel to get here.
Oh my God.
Let's talk about that first. We're going to end with work because it was
work
trip. The travel to get here.
And get back.
Yeah. So sales trips, the way they usually work, we did end up having some downtime here, which was great because it was a 2-week trip and we're in Australia, so it took forever to get here. But typically on a trade show trip, it's about 3 or 4 days. There's really no downtime when you go on those kinds of trips. So those work trips, you get on the plane, you go to the show right away, you set up the booth, you have a networking thing at night. The next 2 days, you're at a trade show with more networking at night. And then the last day, you're back on the plane and you go home. So this time around, we did get to talk to the locals and learn quite a bit about Australia. A lot of driving on the opposite side of the road.
Oh my God, yeah. They're driving on the opposite side of the road. Nikki was my dedicated driver and she did so incredibly well.
After the first day.
Well, yeah, we won't mention the first day, but after that, you did very well. You were really good. I wouldn't have been able to do it that good because I can't compute the whole thing here. It's difficult and it throws you off if you have to exit the highway on the left side and then roundabouts. Oh my God, no, you were good. I was navigating. I mean, Google was navigating, but it helped.
Navigating, you needed some time to actually figure out how to navigate properly. But, we managed. We didn't yell at each other. We didn't get mad. There was none of that happening. So thank you for helping me out with that, because if it wasn't for that, I would have been really messed up, because it really rewires your brain on how to. It's like I couldn't walk. That's what it felt like. I couldn't walk.
Yeah, it's weird. And that also means that it was really good to be on the road for 2 weeks, together.
Yeah.
Not on our own or not on my own. It was actually planned to be a trip for me and myself alone. And then I mentioned maybe it was worthwhile taking Nikki because she needed some field experience commissioning our products, our dryers, and I needed that. And then it's a long trip, and it was so worth it because 2 weeks by myself in a different country, driving on the other side of the road, like 4 or 5 different hotels and stuff like that.
It would have been long by yourself.
It would have been long, yeah.
It would have been long.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did we do here? We did some commissioning on some units down in New South Wales. Oh, wait. Yes.
Yeah, New South Wales.
New South Wales.
It
was a pet food dryer. They have 3 of our units. They are the MD110.
MD210.
MD210, so the double wide chamber.
Yeah.
They chose to go with 3 units instead of 1 real big unit, because then this way they can do 3 different types of products and it just works with their production flow a lot easier. So we ended up working out the PLC controls and trying to fine-tune some of their airflow and things that are happening within the chamber. So that was a great trip. I got to personally meet a few of the people on their team. We went out for a lovely dinner at a Thai restaurant. So Christopher and his wife own a Thai restaurant as well. And again, the food was exceptional there.
Yes, I forgot about that Thai restaurant evening. That was good too, yeah.
So we first did that, and then we went to, while we were there, we also did an FAQ video, so that will be launching within a couple of weeks there. We're going to get Scott to put that together for us.
And then you're going to be better informed about our PLC controls,
Yes,
and what's
and
new
the
about our
sensors.
kilns and the doors and everything. So it's going to
Yep.
be a video worthwhile watching if you're interested in food dehydration kilns.
Yep. And then we had a couple of meetings with some customers and
Yeah.
potential customers. And then you went and seen a couple of sawmills.
Yeah, we are in the lumber business as well. As you
Yep.
may know, Nyle Dry Kilns is manufacturing timber dry kilns or lumber dry kilns. And we have dealers and agents here in Australia, and I spoke to one of them in Brisbane, and we were at a sawmill that is having a need of retrofitting or modernizing their dry kilns. So that was worthwhile. Again, a nice guy, a nice Australian sawmilling owner who
Yep.
told us everything about how things are here. So that was a good meeting with a nice guy. And after that, we flew from Melbourne to Brisbane.
Yep.
Because we were attending a trade show at the Gold Coast, a trade show for food called Food Technology Queensland.
Yes.
That was for 3 days, Wednesday to Friday.
Till yesterday. Now
Yeah.
we're flying home.
Yeah.
So we are actually sitting in a parking lot doing this right now. And we're going to make our way over to the airport.
Yeah.
And look forward to a 24-hour flight home.
Yeah, it's going to be a long trip. I don't know, did we talk about the trip?
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
No,
It's a
we
long
didn't.
trip,
It's
so
a long trip.
If you ever want to go to Australia, it's worth it, but be prepared for a hell of a trip.
Yeah.
For me, it was, I think, easier than for Nikki. I had to go from Hanover to Hamburg by train, then flying out of Hamburg to Dubai, 6 hours, and then from Dubai to Melbourne, 12 and a half hours. So that's long, but it's doable because it's only one layover. And it's the same for me on my way back. I'm going to flying out of Brisbane to Dubai. Well, that's a long flight. That's 14 hours. And then Dubai, Hamburg, and Hamburg, Hanover. So it's altogether a 24-hour or so trip.
Yeah, yeah. And
So that's long.
for me, to put it into perspective, I flew from Ontario to BC to Sydney. But that BC to Sydney portion, that's all over the ocean, and it's 16 hours long.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
imagine a plane flying so fast and 16 hours, and all you are is over top of the ocean. Our world is pretty big.
Yeah.
And Australia is very remote.
It's pretty big and it's pretty versatile, and I encourage everyone to travel.
Yes.
Because it opens up your perspective of how to see things and see things differently. So, yeah. Travel if you can.
If you can. And look forward to having that FAQ video launched and doing more of these video reels.
That's it.
Comment below, if you have any questions about our trip, if we didn't talk about anything that you wanted to learn about, let us know. Comment below, like, subscribe, you know the gig. Anyways, thanks guys. Have a great day, and
Thank you.
talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.